Dear students, welcome to my classroom of research methodology. Today I am going to teach aesthetics and the theories related to aesthetics. First, I would like to know from you that what do you mean by aesthetics? Aesthetics means that we are trying to know the definition of beauty from the perceptions of our thought process, and this thought process is something which is not only related with our mind but also related with our heart, where we are trying to justify or define or rationalize beauty. If we say something is beautiful, what does it actually mean? Does beauty is something which can be philosophical? Can beauty be spiritual? Can beauty be an intellectual property? That how we are looking at beauty. We also state beauty does not lie only in the eyes of the beholders. This is something like a counter argument of beauty lies in the eyes of the beholders. That means how you are looking at a thing, that is helping you to understand what is beauty. But if I say how you are looking at a thing or at an object, that is not helping you to understand beauty, because for understanding beauty, you need to be more aware and sensitized and intellectually oriented. That kind of orientation is something where we talk on theory of aesthetics. This particular theory or theories of aesthetics started emerging as an important discipline in academics from 1950s onwards. Before that also, from the 18th century, in the Western world, people or the academicians or the thinkers, they tried to know the essence of beauty, or how can we define beauty with the help of the letters. That means, in the world of letters, how can we situate beauty or aesthetics? Here, I would like to quote from Rabindranath Tagore. Once he stated, which is also a famous Tagore song, that Rupe tomai bhola bona. What does it mean? That I am not going to make you feel attracted towards me with my beauty. That is also helping us to understand the essence of beauty. That what is beauty? And as I have started with my hypothesis that if we would like to know beauty, then it's not only that what we are looking at, but also we need to be sensitized or oriented with this regard. That's why today I have come with the theories related to aesthetics, which will help us to understand beauty or the definition of beautifulness. I would like to begin with what Kant stated. To define beauty, he gave emphasis on 4 concepts. Which are those concepts? one is definitely the idea which, according to him, can be termed as concept. Secondly, objectivity. Third is spectator. That means who is looking at a particular object and thinking that that object is beautiful or not beautiful. Finally, obligatoriness. That means the obligations, the societal considerations. I would like to define all this one by one. The ideas, the concepts, the pillars according to which we can judge aesthetics or beauty. First, I would like to begin with concept. Here, I must say that what Kant had stated, we need to define all these discourses with our own understanding. Here, I cannot give you any definite reference. Rather, I will tell you, you can read the main text as mentioned in my academic script, and also you try to think from your end, because this subject of aesthetics is purely a subjective matter. Now, I would like to discuss what is subjectivity and what is objectivity. If you don't know the relationship of subjectivity with objectivity, then you won't be able to understand the intellectual discourses on aesthetics. As we are having some ideas on research methodology, from that particular perspective, it's very important for us to understand research does not mean that we are only dealing with scientific facts or the true facts. When we are talking facts, that means we are thinking something objective. And objectivity is also known as priori, that means the ultimate truth. As for example, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So this is an objective truth. But if I would like to be subjective, to define the glory or the greatness of the sun, the central force of the cosmic world, then I might be subjective like Rabindranath Tagore. Once he stated in one of his songs, Akash bhara Surjo tara. That means the entire sky is filled with the sun and the stars. So this is something, the subjective interpretation of the sun. And that is also important in research methodology to understand the human mind. Because who are the researchers? The researchers, they are the humans. So we need to understand their psyche, their pulse. Otherwise, we are not in a position to decipher the true meaning of social sciences or of all the branches of knowledge, excepting science, which is purely objective. And as I have already mentioned, aesthetics is a subjective matter. Then what Kant stated, that can be defined in various ways. So as I have told about concept, that means how are you looking into a particular matter. Here, you can define that particular matter as per your own choice or your own wish, which he has called as the concept of pebbles. See, if you look at a pebble, then what is it? A pebble only. I can give you one example. If you look at a pen, then what is this? It's a pen only. But it's up to you. How will you define the physical presence of the pen? The pen which I showed you, it's blue in color. That is an objective fact. But if you say that the pen is fat or thin, that is something you are trying to define as the beauty of the pen. But if I sensitize you or aware you about the true meaning of aesthetics, then you might say pen is important because through the pen we write history, we make history, we change history. So, it's a pebble which can create history, can revolutionize history as we are trying to understand its true meaning or why it is in this world and what is the utility. So for us, everything is pebble. It can be a human, it can be a pen, it can be any other object. Because as we start with a pebble, that means something which is present, but how we can situate the presence of a particular object, that is depended on our thought process. You can say the pebble is beautiful. Why it's beautiful? Because it makes the presence of the river more, what I can say, serene and calm if you step on the pebbles. The next point what Kant was trying to harp on, that is objectivity. When we talk on objectivity, as I have already mentioned, that it's important for us to beautify something. We need to know its physical presence and we need to know certain facts through which we can substantiate its physical presence. Suppose we are talking of a lady who is carrying some fruits and vegetables in a bucket and putting it on her head. Now, the third point which has been described by Kant is definitely when we talk on aesthetics, the view of the spectator means a lot. If you are looking at the lady, how you are reciprocating her presence, that matters. And the fourth one is obligatoriness. That means there are some socio-cultural factors which help us to understand aesthetics, which help us to understand that how you are beautifying the objects and what are the intentions behind the same. If a person is carrying vegetables on her head in a bucket, that means she is selling those vegetables in the market, perhaps because the theories related to aesthetics are sometimes subjective, so you can imagine here. So perhaps by selling the vegetables, she might earn her livelihood. Then she can be a member of the proletariat class or the working class people. It is her obligation to sell vegetables and to live her livelihood. So, by defining various contours of aesthetic theories, we may know the society better. And that's why beauty does not lie in the eyes of the beholder, because beauty has a much broader scope and the beholder should know or should sensitize himself or herself to decipher beauty. Dear students, I would like to aware you about cognitive behavior. Cognitive behavior helps us to understand how we are looking at a particular object and we are trying to judge that particular object. Here, Kant has given a statement which I have found very interesting. What he stated, according to him, beauty is something which is connected with the concepts of morality. Beauty is pure, beauty is calm, beauty is serene, beauty is moral. That means beauty or the true understanding of beauty helps us to be moral and be just and be honest, not only to ourselves, for others as well. If we are looking at the rising sun, or if we are witnessing the sunset, that gives us a sense of accomplishment. Here also I can quote from Rabindranath Tagore, one of his songs, Tomar holo shuru, amar holo shara. That means, I have done with my job, now it's yours turn. So this is telling us something like how sun rises and how sun sets. This is telling us something about the completeness or about the accomplishment of our lives, about our responsibilities, about our obligations. That creates a sense of mindfulness which is moral, that we are here if God exists as per His wish, and we will be here to perform our duties and obligations, and when everything is done, then we are set to leave the world like how sun sets. That's why for Kant, the concept of beauty or aesthetics is something which is divine and moral, which is spiritual and religious as well. Here I may tell you like how we deal with fine art, because art is something which is not only the subjective expression of the human minds, it also helps us to understand the religiosity or the divinity behind that particular creation. Because all the creators are great like God, because they are creating something through which they want to serve the society, they want to enrich our intellectualism, or they want to contribute, which is more or less similar what I have stated now. I am repeating, they want to contribute towards the intellectual growth of the society, which is very much important and which is known as progress. Progress does not mean that we only think of science and technology. Progress also means how we can develop our artistic mind and to appreciate aesthetics so that we are intellectually mature enough to handle the truths and the lies and the facts and the myths, and also to appreciate ourselves along with others, by which we can create a harmony which is very much needed, where we are celebrating ourselves, celebrating art, and also making the world a much more better place to stay. Now I would like to highlight certain theoretical aspects of aesthetics. And here I am trying to define them with my own ideals, with my own critical thinking, because aesthetics is a subject which is lucid. We cannot restrict aesthetics. We cannot limit aesthetics. It's a purely subjective matter, as I have mentioned repeatedly, though we need the help of some objective truths or facts. First, I would like to start with aesthetic concepts, and here I want to mention from Edmund Burke. Burke had a wonderful justification of aesthetics, where he tried to connect subjectivity and objectivity. According to him, the world which has been created by the artists, the painters, the writers, that world is something which is like a land of utopia, world which is full of imaginations, fantasies, that has to be challenged from the realistic stance, and that makes the presence of aesthetics more beautiful, because we are challenging, we are questioning the fantasies, the desires, the dreams, through which we are making the presence of aesthetics inevitable. Why? Because human mind is a beautiful expression of subjective ideas. So the clash between the beautiful human minds, that where they are dreaming, they are having desires, they are trying to imagine something which is not realistic, having a confrontation with the realistic world where we suffer from pain. But on the other hand, in our world, which is a world full with dreams, we have the pleasure. So it is fight, or it is a tension between pain and pleasure, if we would like to decipher the true meaning of aesthetics from the perspective of the creations created in various ways, either through literature or through paintings or so and so. So this fight, this confrontation is always enjoyable, because here we are trying to know how exploitation, how our sorrows make us more beautiful, so that we can dream for a world like Sultana's dream, as mentioned or as depicted by Rokeya long time back in 1870s. And I know like that my students, they might have an idea about who was Begum Rokeya. She was one of the first female educationists in colonial Bengal who talked for the education of Muslim women. So in her Sultana's dream, she imagined a world where the women, they are controlling everything, and it's a matriarchal society, and they are having flying cars, they are using solar power to fulfill their ambitions and dreams. Perhaps that Sultana's dream was the first scientific fiction of our country, which was written in English as well. So this is something where, according to Burke, we are trying to engulf into the ocean of imagination, but if we try to know the reality, definitely during that time women, they had to fight a lot to get emancipation, especially in terms of being educated and later in terms of being economically independent. So this is something what I feel it's very much important for us to know, that how we can differentiate the truth and the imagination, or the truth and the fantasy, to understand the essence of aesthetics. Apart from that, in my slides I have discussed about aesthetic values. That means how can we judge aesthetics and what are the parameters. Basically, if I consider Kant, then we have to be moral, we have to be sensitive to judge or to evaluate aesthetics. Secondly, aesthetic attitudes. It's a subjective matter because aesthetics is something which is related to imagination, which is related to our pain and pleasure as well. I can say that if Bijon Bhattacharya's Namanno, that novel was written where we find like how he described the great famine of 1943. That novel was very much crude, that where we have seen the exploitations and the hunger, but it is also aesthetically beautiful because there we are trying to show the beauty of pain, the beauty of sorrow, the beauty of hunger. So that is also having a literary value. So if we talk on aesthetic attitudes. The another three aspects or segments which I need to discuss, they are definition of art. That is something, what I feel it's lucid. What is art? It's still a debatable topic, or we cannot define art because art is something which is purely subjective. Perhaps what is art for me, it's not art for you. If Bijon Bhattacharya showed art through the pain or hunger which was created by the famine of 1943, that is having aesthetic value and approach as well. Then when Rabindranath Tagore was saying Chaঁদের হাসি বাঁধ ভেঙেছে in one of his songs, that where he was describing the beauty of moon, that is having also aesthetic value, but the perceptions were different. That is also an example of art, like what Bijon Bhattacharya did with his novel Namanno. So it's very difficult to define art, and here we have to keep ourselves open. Finally, expression and representation. Whatever I have discussed in this lecture, I have talked about expression and representation only. That how we can represent the art of exploitation, the art of being starved, with the help of the novel Namanno, which was written by Bijon Bhattacharya, where he showed the plight of the great famine of 1943. On the other hand, if I talk on the Tagore songs of Akash Bhora, Bishwo Tara, or Chaঁদের হাসি বাঁধ ভেঙেছে, where we are trying to understand how Tagore appreciated nature or the beauty of nature. That is another way of representing aesthetics or expressing aesthetics. So here we have to be flexible and we need to accept the theories which we had in previous times and also the theories which are emerging, especially how the subalterns and the postmodernists, they are looking at aesthetics or the beauty which is very much in the society where the people are marginalized, where the people are deprived. So we can recreate the history of aesthetics with the help of the people who are having the utmost pain and who are being exploited as the victims of capitalism. So, I hope that my students, they enjoy the lecture on aesthetics and the theories related to aesthetics. You can refer my slides as well as the academic script, and if you have any question, you can mail me as well. But one thing I should tell you with a positive note, that we should not judge anyone with his or her physical presence. That made the history measurable if we take the example of racial discrimination. We should judge people with the presence of his or her intellect, or how he or she is contributing for the betterment of the society like us. By this way, we can create a sense of harmony, a sense of togetherness. That is the essence of aesthetics, what I feel. Thank you.